Aloha, good morning. This is Karumbi Davis of Karumbi Realty International, and I'm very excited this morning. I'm on location at a business called Ukulele Friend, and I was thinking this week, one of the things I love about what I do is all the interesting people I meet, and I'm going to be discovering different things about Ukulele Friend today. The owner, Sean, is with me. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And, you know, I know ukuleles are a big part of Hawaiian's heritage, and what you do is a lot different from, you know, most ukulele lessons or stalls, etc. So, you know, I'll start with a few questions, and please elaborate, because I'm in territory. I really don't know a lot about your business, but I know how beautiful your shop is here, and I'm so excited to be here this morning. And, you know, tell us, what do you specialize in here at Ukulele Friend?
Thank you so much, Caron. We are a bit different from most ukulele stores in that we focus on two areas, and those two areas are museum grade, like historical ukuleles. So I have some of the first ukuleles made in the late 1800s, some that date back to as early as the Hawaiian Kingdom period.
Yes.
So we have some of those pieces, and we also have a lot of newer custom instruments that were made from builders from all over the world. There are ukulele builders and enthusiasts all over the world, and they're enjoying playing the instruments, some in folk music, some in Hawaiian music. But we have just all these handcrafted custom ukuleles as well. So those two areas we kind of focus in.
And, you know, just to take us back a little bit, because I see so much passion when you talk about this. I mean, have you been learning ukulele since you were a little boy? How did this passion all start? I'm very interested about that.
You know, it's so interesting. I'm born and raised in Hawaii, but my mother is from the neighbor island, Kauai. My father is from New Jersey, and so they met here. And so I was born and raised here. I hear the ukulele wherever you go. We learn ukulele in elementary school here as well. Yeah. But it was really when in my later years, in my college years, I lived in Japan. Yes. I went to several universities there, but a sense of identity and questioning, who am I and where am I from? And people would ask, what's Hawaii like? Yes. Those questions kind of hit to the core of who I am. Yes. And it really became kind of a time of searching for me, and part of that was the ukulele, and the ukulele kind of helped me kind of understand my own cultural heritage and where I'm from. Yes. And so when I lived abroad, I remember I had books in one hand and a backpack, and I had this kind of lower end ukulele that I would tote around campus, play a little bit of music, and I realized that wherever you're at, ukulele is such a social instrument. People smile, and people just want to get to know you, want to hear music, and that was where it all started. When I came back here, I basically I just fell in love with trying to understand the history of the ukulele, and so that kind of led me into those two paths where I focus on these early historical instruments. Because there's not a lot of literature on the history of the ukulele. There's a lot out there, but there's not a lot of scholarly information.
Certainly.
Yeah, and so it's been a passion of mine to be able to look into some of those materials. I have some mentors who have done an amazing job at mining this information out. And so now we're looking at new and creative ways to be able to educate the community. So a big part of what I do is sell instruments, certainly. But another part of that is educate the public and educate the world about the history of the ukulele, about its origins, about the sound and the subtle nuances with all these different amazing woods and amazing builders.
Wow. Yeah. So give me an idea of some of the educational programs that you're doing or you've done. You know, what are some of the outreach programs?
Oh, that's wonderful. You know, we recently did a concert. We streamed the concert online. And we also did, it was an in-person benefit concert for Aloha United Way. We held this at Kapilani Community College, and it was a fundraiser for Aloha United Way, and we basically brought in some musicians, some of the top musicians in Hawaii. We had them play on the historical instruments, and in between each performance, we talked a little bit about the instruments themselves, the history of the instruments, Hawaiian music, and what was happening in a specific time period, and then we got to hear these amazing musicians play these historical instruments, and we recorded them at that, and it was all a benefit concert.
So are you constantly looking for, historical ukuleles, out there in the community?
I am.
Yeah, I know, yes.
But the funny thing is they're typically not in Hawaii. The vast majority of them, I mean the historical ones, they have long left It's about 140 years since the ukulele was first created. It's the result of two parent instruments, of two Portuguese instruments, specifically from the small island of Madeira, and which is off the coast of Africa. It's geographically, it's closer to Morocco than it is to mainland Portugal.
Oh, wow.
But it's small islands in the middle of the Atlantic there, and there are two parent instruments that basically these Madeirans that came over to work in the plantation fields here in the 1879 is when they came. But basically, they brought their understanding of woodworking. They brought their understanding of making the parent instruments. But slowly that evolved into the ukulele. So they took the size of one of the instruments, but they took the tuning of the alternate instrument.
Oh, right.
And then they began to use some local woods. Yes. They simplified it. I think there are business influences as well that caused them to simplify the instrument. And long story short, we have this beautiful instrument that kind of emerges in the middle of Hawaiian history, a time of kind of turmoil when the Hawaiian government was overthrown. So you have a lot of turmoil that's happening in Hawaii, but you have this beautiful thing that surfaces in the middle of that. And now to this day, it's a very familiar sound to everyone, the sound and the look of the ukulele.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of going back so many years, you have the first ukulele, right?
I'm very fortunate to have the first one.
So tell us about that. That is so exciting.
Oh
my God.
One of my roles is to work with museums, and I help some museums procure their historical ukuleles. There's a museum in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's called the Musical Instruments Museum. It's the largest instrument museum in the world. They have over 15,000 instruments in this place. But they had long been after some sort of partnership with me. They're longtime clients of mine, good people. And but certain pieces, obviously, I want them to stay in Hawaii. I want to be able to do educational projects with them, and there are a whole bunch of things on the horizon. And so I decided I didn't want to sell those instruments, so we basically just use them for educational purposes. But I did put that first ukulele on loan. So there's a special exhibition called the Treasures Exhibition, or Rediscover Treasures. Yes. It's going on until about October of 2023. And basically, that instrument, the first ukulele, is on display there. We have Herb Ota Jr., which is one of the most famous contemporary ukulele musicians today, playing it on the video. And so you can see the actual instrument there, but you can also hear the instrument. And we have several recordings of all these instruments on the webpage, too.
So how did you find that?
I was very fortunate to kind of be in this small community of ukulele collectors, maybe 20, 25, almost 30 years ago. And I was kind of like the young kid on the block, right? Typically, all of these older guys had all these amazing instruments, and I'm just... It's like a master's class for me, because I'm so passionate about trying to learn about the instrument. And so I ask all of these questions, I learn about these things, and then I learn, over time, I'm in a place where financially I can purchase some of these pieces, but it's really that network early on that afforded me that access, because the pre-1900s ukuleles, of which I probably have the world's most significant collection of pre-1900 Hawaii-made ukuleles, but those instruments are extremely difficult to come by for a number of reasons. The number of pieces that were made were low. There were several fires that happened in the Chinatown downtown area that decimated the shops where they built. And so there's a lot that was happening that was influencing the small number of instruments that were being made.
No, it's very interesting. And, just on another topic, I hear the word passionate networking, and I know you're so successful at what you do, and I know in real estate, that takes a lot of passion and networking to be successful too. There's similar traits from a business standpoint.
Yes.
Very much so. So give me an idea if somebody wanted to get a special ukulele for their son or daughter, or for themselves. They come to you. Tell me some of the questions they ask and how they would go about to choose a ukulele.
There's 4 different basic sizes, and generally we field a lot of questions. Sometimes it's something that's been in the family for someone for generations. They just want a little more information about it. Other times, it's something that they're looking to sell and move on, or other times you just want some information. What is this?
Yes.
And so people will reach out and ask questions. I generally need to see what it is, so they'll either text me photos or we'll have a conversation, send me images so I can have a better idea. But the reason I'm so passionate about what I do is it filters into my business model, and I'm sure this is the same for you, Caron, because I only want to be in the areas that I have the greatest passion. Yes. I don't want to spend time in areas that I'm not passionate about.
Absolutely. Right? Especially when you've been doing it so long. Like,
yes.
I've been doing real estate 33 years.
Yes.
And because I have an amazing team,
yes.
we can help every client, but it's a matter of specialization
yes.
and passion, big time.
Absolutely. And so you're absolutely right. I'm in a similar focus area, but in a different industry, where we just focus on the best handcrafted ukuleles that you can find in the world, and the rarest museum pieces that you can find, and I'm most passionate about those two areas. Sometimes, or often actually, I receive phone calls for people, that are looking for an introductory level ukulele, which is absolutely fine.
Yes.
And I'll take the time to share with them what I would do.
Yes.
There are many fantastic stores in Hawaii that they can go to, but I would tell them, if you're going to go for a low-end ukulele, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Good starter one. But when you get into the store, ask the guys to take out all the back stock, tune them up, and play them all, because you'll find that one of them will be better than the others, just by nature of that production mentality versus a full custom instrument, right? So
there's
so
some
it's kind of fun.
inside information from the ukulele friend specialist. And we'll have to go here in a moment, but I just wanted to, ask you, what's on the horizon next for you, with your business? We've just come out of COVID, and I know people are getting back into entertaining and everything, and businesses are starting to feel a little more positive.
Sure. We're very fortunate to be able to work with some of Hawaii's top musicians, both in ukuleles and just in Hawaiian music. And they come in and they'll play on these historical instruments. They'll also play these newer custom instruments. So you can go to our webpage at ukulelefriend.com, and you can see instruments that are for sale, but there's also a museum link. If you click on the museum link and you want to see some examples of the earliest ukuleles that were created in the late 1800s, they're all there. And if you click on each of those images, you'll actually see several musicians playing those historical pieces. And we've got some exciting things on the horizon. I'm beginning to work with the Hawaii State Archives. Okay. And one of my hopes is to be able to record these in a professional studio, and then be able to archive the sound of these instruments for future generations, both for future builders as well as researchers and so forth, and then have those materials available at the Hawaii State Archives. And so that's one of the larger goals that we have. We're also looking at doing maybe some concerts using vintage instruments.
Nice.
And be able to bring in some top musicians from Hawaii, but have them play a historical kamaka guitar, which many people didn't even know that kamaka made guitars, but we have several of those. We can have those instruments being played in ensemble with an ukulele from the 1800s. It's quite remarkable, but part of the fun.
Very neat. Well, I thank you for today, and I hope our audience really loved hearing from you today. And I know we'll definitely put some links up here on our talk today, so everyone can refer to all the items you've spoken about today. And much mahalo, and all the very best this year.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Aloha.